You're listening to the Slavic Literature Pod, your shelf help guide to all things Slavic.
I'm Cameron Lalana.
And I'm Matt Gerasimovich.
And today we're covering Part 2, Chapter 2 of Vasily Grossman's Life and Fate. Continuing on with Novikov's Time of the Tank Corps, the most exciting part of leading a tank corps, which is when your boss wants a status update you know for a fact that he does not need, except Novikov has the additional fun element that he has to travel all the way to Kuibyshev in order to give that update, which again, not needed and cut off. It seems like not that far into the conversation. Leaving Novikov, really the only benefit of this trip so far has been that he is now in the same city that Zhenya has been evacuated to, which we end the chapter on him deciding to go after. Is there anywhere in particular that you'd like to start? I have a little bit to talk about this chapter, but not a ton. This is a very transitory chapter.
It's pretty quick for sure. I like the description of how Novikov kind of has learned from his grizzled war experience to, or I guess not from his war experience, but from his like bureaucratic experience to evaluate people and whether they're going to be useful or whether they're going to be someone who's going to get immediately roadblocked, because that is a really important thing for the Soviet military apparatus to know how to do, which is navigate around bureaucracy.
That's right. Novikov, as it's mentioned in the text, is very good at discerning which generals are actually worthwhile talking to and which ones can't even actually procure a gallon of fuel oil and are simply exist in order to pass along information. And I'm sure none of us can relate to the experience of speaking to someone in management who has no clear job duties except to just pass on information of things that you're doing.
Yeah, that only existed in the Soviet Union, and we've done away with that now, which is good.
Yeah, thankfully. I think for the most part, this chapter is kind of fun. Not fun for Novikov, fun for us, maybe a little painful. But the most interesting thing to me is this one line towards the end of the chapter when he goes to see Zhenya. And it seems to him that there seemed to be an abyss between the man he had been then, the last time that he'd seen Zhenya before Stalingrad had been evacuated, and the man he was now. And yet here he was, the same person about to visit her once again. And I feel like there's a couple interesting layers to me there. On one level, we have like the very literal fact of that since then he has been fighting more of the war. He's been given command of the tank corps. Zhenya has been evacuated to Kuibyshev, and as if you've read both Stalingrad and Life and Fate, you can see that there's a certain amount of like artistic flightiness that was present in her character in Stalingrad that's definitely much less present now in this pretty hard-nosed time. And so I think on one level, maybe a commentary on just how far these characters have developed, even if it's been partially off screen for us as the reader. But also, I kind of read it as to the philosophical differences both now are approaching the world with not only them, the novel as a whole. All these characters are still the same people, technically, but so much has changed between these two novels, not only for them in universe, but also for Grossman, the author, and us also as readers. And there's kind of a strangeness there, right? When there's something, so much has changed about you that you are living a completely different life. You could be a different person, if you hadn't started in the place you did, but in fact, you are still that same person. Kind of a strange place to be, huh?
Yeah, and that's just another layer of peer pressure that we deliver to you, our listener, to read Stalingrad if you haven't. Yeah.
We're really not delivering on that. You don't need to read Stalingrad, promise, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you still don't need to, but you would be probably a lot cooler if you did.
Take this copy of Stalingrad and this cigarette, and you'll be fine.
Well, yeah, tune in for our ever-growing list of podcasts we're going to create for lifestyle and health next.
All right, well, I think something to keep an eye on, but for now, unless there's anything else you wanted to cover, maybe this is a good place to stop it.
I think so. You will hear from us again soon.